Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing okay. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Arsenal women's season, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. Thank you so much, Sophie, for joining me today. How are you doing?
I am epic. I actually have a terrible headache today, which is why I'm wearing these. So it's not me turning into, an LA rhymes with planker. So yeah, no, I'm doing great other than that. So thanks for having me on, and lovely to see your energetic, positive, lovely face again.
Oh, I've missed you so because I know you came on my channel before and it's been a while since we've done a video, so very excited to have you on. And we'll be sort of talking a bit about the women's season, and then I think we all know about Alessia Russo, like some of the transfers, players that have gone, like Raphael, which has been a bit of a surprise, but it'd be good to sort of discuss those things. But I'll start off with talking on the season now. We did finish third. We secured the Champions League spot for next season.
Mhm.
We won the Continental Cup after all of those injuries. It was a very hard season.
Mhm.
Looking back on the season, how would you reflect on it?
You bring up some fundamental points that I think shaped the Arsenal women's season, and the injuries were crushing because, in relation to anyone who's listening who watches the men's team more, and we saw it in the men's team trying to qualify for the Champions League, and really a little bit about what happened to us towards the end of last season too. If you take Saliba out, if you take Thomas Partey out, or even a Zinchenko, and at the time, the spine of the team just went. And I have to say that to see them mentally still be engaged in the season, when you lose world-class players like that, game changers, it is difficult to overcome. So I was really super impressed with how Arsenal kept going, but they could only keep going for so long. But you bring
Yeah.
up the Conti Cup because I think that was right at when everything was kind of happening,
Mm-hmm.
and the injuries kind of kicked in, and then to go on and win that and to beat Chelsea, which was so satisfying, gratifying.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
was an incredible achievement, and in the end, it just caught up with us. But I think Jonas did really well trying to manage that entire situation as best he could, and to deliver a trophy. The only Arsenal manager, to deliver a trophy this season was the Arsenal women's manager. So yeah, it's one of those seasons, Soph, where if I was to sum it up in a sentence, I would say, "Wow, what could have been."
Mm.
Because I mean, I know you're going to probably bring up with all those injuries, we took Wolfsburg right to the end in the
Yeah.
Champions League, didn't we? And if you add Williamson and Mead and Miedemar
Yeah.
to that squad, don't tell me we're not making the Champions League final
Mm.
this season. So,
Yeah.
yes, proud and amazing. We won a trophy with all the challenges that we had.
Yeah, like you said, getting to the semi-final, we haven't done that in such a long time, and it's hard. I think like I can understand how we ended it. Like, we lost in the semi-final. I think we're very
Hmm.
tired at the end, and
Hmm.
we made silly errors. But like you said, it's hard looking back, isn't it? Because we could have got to the final. I've always said I think Barcelona are probably the best right now, and it would have been hard to beat them. But I think we've just come really far, and with like the injuries we've had, I didn't expect us to really get to semi-final. I thought
Mm.
let's just, because that's when we usually struggle. It's like the quarter-final stage we sort of just struggle to get into the semis, and so I'm very happy with that. And
Yeah.
talking on the injuries, I just think it's hard to kind of sum up. It's just crazy how many players have got an ACL injury. It's been crazy.
Mhm.
Like you said, we did so well to manage that. Did you expected us to manage it in a way we did, or did you think we might struggle a bit more?
I did think that I think in a cup game,
Mm.
right? And we saw this on the men's team too for a number of years, Soph.
Mm.
We just didn't have the players who could stay mentally engaged in a season of 38 games. But in Arsenal's darkest days, we won 4 FA Cups because the mentality of certain players in a team, the way um, we were playing, and the combination of players we had, they just didn't have that mental ability to keep going for a season. And I think this women's team absolutely had
Mm.
that. And when you lose 3 key players, to keep that going in the league over a longer period of time is hard. But to do it in a cup match where you've just got to go out and give that, it's almost like this is it, this is all we've got, and it's a very finite time, and you give it your all. And I think that's what the women's team did in the Conti Cup for sure, and that's exactly what they did in the Champions League games. In the league, it just got a little bit too much in the
Mm.
end. And maybe there was part of Jonas that knew the league, really, one loss in the league, if you're Chelsea or Arsenal, is tough to make up to win that, right? The
Yeah.
balance there, it still isn't there. So he definitely went for, the Champions League and the cups. And I think that was the right thing to do, considering all the challenges that he had. But the players stepped up. So we talk a lot about the 3, but the team stepped up. And what I loved the most was that, they tried to overcome the adversity together. And there was a lot of growth in this side this season. And hopefully they'll carry that on through to the next season. And what a lesson for Jonas as a young
Mm.
manager, having to deal with that type of catastrophic um, occurrence. And the women's season in the league is shorter, right?
Mhm.
So it's really tough when you lose players like that, to injuries like that. But
Yeah.
I thought that we did well, Soph.
Yeah, me too. I think it was really hard in the league as well because for me, getting I think for the Champions League, I think in my head that probably would have been something that I'd really want to go in on, like get really far in that
Mm,
competition. Obviously, you could see how much it did hurt the team not getting to the final, but I think for me, I think winning something that season was important for me because I think with Jonas, we're sort of in a transitional time now. We've got new players in that are
hmm.
probably at the right level for the club, and we've had to sort of change a few things around the club. And I think Jonas has done really well. I did want to talk to you about him because I think the season before that we just missed out on the league, and I know some people I felt questioned a bit about his decisions, but like you said,
Mm.
with the injuries, he's done really exceptional. What have you made of him having to sort of deal with all those setbacks and injuries this season?
I think, yeah, it's a great question because I think last season, and rightly so, more so, maybe even at the beginning of this season before the injuries happened. So if some people were kind of questioning, choosing. I know that Demian, who co-hosts our women's show, don't screw with McCabe or Little ever, right? Um, and I think that there were moments where people questioned, and maybe rightly so. However, once the injuries kicked in, when a manager's forced to make decisions, they make sometimes better decisions, different decisions. So I think that's been his biggest challenge because when you have, and let's be honest, we've had a great squad. They've dealt with, I think we've addressed the depth issues. Women's, the women's game a little bit, Soph, has more turnaround than the men's,
Yeah,
sometimes. And I think that's just something that's going to come once more investment kicks in and there's more money in the game. And we'll see maybe a little bit less of that. And I think most people would like to see a little bit less of that. When you think about the turnaround, even in our team over the last 2 years, the players who have come in and the players who have gone. But I think when he was forced into making decisions, he made good decisions. And sometimes you're limited in the decisions you can make, especially when you lose players like that. But I was concerned for a bit that he might be a bit of a tinker man.
hmm,
But handling the season the way he has, winning a trophy, is everything. And it's hard to do it in people think it's so easy to win a trophy in the women's game. Actually, it's not.
And
we saw.
Chelsea are one of the best, aren't they? So it was really difficult.
Absolutely, and you're always it's like the same thing with Manchester City are winning everything. In the women's game, Chelsea are winning everything. So to try and scupper them is not an easy. And look, Manchester United almost did it this season.
Mm.
I mean, that was a tremendous season for Manchester United. They made great moves in the transfer window. They built a team. They've been kind of, trying to reinforce themselves and force themselves in the women's game. And I mean, losing the play, if they're losing Russo, that's massive. However, they
Mm.
will still be there. They will still build. So I think for Jonas, another learning season, and overall a success. He won a trophy.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the first season, I think he's really had to change things up, and I think this season none of us would have expected us to have so many injuries. Like in a
Mhm.
season, you probably might have one or two serious injuries, but it's like our most of our first team like players have been injured, and it is quite bad. But
Well, when you
some
look at the
players,
line, if you look at the lineup, I pulled it up because I wanted to check, but against Wolfsburg, still this is it. You got Wibbenmoy, you got BT, you got Souza, you got
mm,
Marnham, you got you got Leia, you got Steph, you got Palova, who a lot of people questioned when she first came in.
yeah, she's been
Um,
good. Actually.
and she's come good. You got McCabe and Steen, and that is a good team. That is still a
Yeah,
good team. You add the other three into this team, like I said at the top of the show, that is huge. I think we beat Wolfsburg handsomely. I know I'm probably saying that now, hindsight 2020, overconfident, but I really do think that we beat Wolfsburg. Look, we lost I mean, it was a terrible mistake in the end, wasn't it, Soph?
yeah, I think with that mistake, it was so hard because we would have gone into extra time, and I think we were tired, but I just thought we were good enough to beat them. I just think, like, I suppose if a Beth Mead and Miedema, like, if they take some of our chances, then we would be in a better position. But
Mhm.
I think we did really well against them, and I think we should be proud. And like you said, a lot of the squad is a really strong team, and it's not just like really young, inexperienced players that we played. It was like really experienced players. Like you look at Stina. I think she has shown she's got more confidence, and like Katie McCabe as well. She stepped up massively. For you though, from like the experienced players that had a big part to play in the season, like we all know it's sort of like the whole team really impacted how well our season was. But which players do you think stepped up when we really needed them to?
The one player for me that I just fell in love with and I'm so heartbroken to see go is Captain Fantastic, Copa America, Brazilian legend, Souza. And that's a tough because for two reasons. The partnership, and it's such a bummer that we didn't see through the end of that partnership with
Yeah,
Williamson. But she has, to me, kind of stepped in, and I'm like, you feel like you've been at Arsenal for 10 years. She was just one of those players that came and felt like she had been at the club, won, lost, loved the badge, loved the fans. And I think when you have characters like that, there's no doubt to me that she helped the dressing room. She
hmm,
knows what it takes to win. She's led her own country to winning stuff. And I think that she was a tremendous influence for this team in the time where things got a little bit dark, losing their teammates in the
yeah,
manner in which they did. And remember, they're friends as well. It's not only just about like playing, right? So if these are women who would be at the World Cup, I mean, this is bigger than just Arsenal. These are personal dreams that come into play as well.
yeah,
So I having her around, I always felt like we have an opportunity to put in a really good performance because she just works hard, and I think she led by example on the pitch. And even though you're asking me a question about the older players,
hmm.
I think if I could just Marnham has grown up so much. Do you agree? Do you think Marnham?
I think she's had the best season ever because she's just scored so many like important goals when we really need her. And I think for me, like when I think we played in the FA Cup against Chelsea, I think it might have been a year ago. Do you know where we lost? I think it might have been 3-0 or something. I think she played, and I thought, I think she really struggled in midfield, and Jonas dropped her for a while. And I thought, I don't know if I see a way back for her in this team. And now I
Mm.
look at her and I think, when she's not in this team, I need her in the team. I
Right.
think she's been superb, hasn't she? She's just that player we need,
Yep.
when we struggle to score goals. I think against Leicester, we got that 1-0 win. We don't need, sometimes you don't need to score lots of goals. It's just about getting the win. And she did that, and I've been really happy with her. She's been brilliant, hasn't she?
Yeah, she really, really has. And I think that grown up very quickly, and a lot of responsibility and expectation on her, being the kind of player that she is. And I've been so impressed with how she's handled herself this season, the way she's played. And you know what? I love it that we have a few players in our team that can create something out of nothing.
Hmm.
And I see superstar potential status for her, over the next few years. And yeah, she's just a really good player.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like you said, I think the players really had to step up. Like,
Mm,
obviously, before injuries, they were doing brilliant. But
mhm,
at the moment, we're sort of Arsenal and we can't really slip. I think if we finish the season without Champions League football, I would understand because it's been really difficult.
mhm.
We've been in different competitions. We tried to go all the way, and it's been quite exhausting for the team. So I
Yeah,
would understand, but I think the fact that we managed to keep in the top three and win something, get so far in the Champions League, it's so impressive.
yeah,
And Manum, like you said, has been fantastic. I'm really just happy for her that she's doing so well, because there's been times with her where Jones didn't play her for a while. We swapped, like Jordan Nobbs played, and
mhm.
in the midfield, I think Kim Little, Leah Volti, and her just are excellent together. I just feel so happy to see them play together. So I think, I'm just happy for her. And we know someone else, McCabe, she really, I think she's just showed what a great leader she is. She scored that great goal against Man City.
What a goal.
Sometimes it doesn't feel real. Like, when you watch a goal and you're just like, how did that go in?
Golazzo.
Yeah, and I think she got the Women's Super League goal of the season. And for you, do you think that was the goal of the season?
No doubt about it. And the timing of the goal, just the timing of the goal, that's everything about it was just a banger. You could say
Yeah.
exquisite or a banger. How do you want to describe it? I
Yeah, it's
mean,
just so incredible, isn't it? And
yeah.
I just love the celebration. I love how she went over to her teammates and
Yeah.
they were all happy. But for McCabe, like, she's always been a great player. I'm really, happy to have her at Arsenal. For you, how much of like an important player do you think she is in the squad? We know, like, Chelsea did want her a little while ago, and I just feel like for me, she's a player that we just can't lose. Like, I just want her at Arsenal because, like you said, with Rafa going, it's good to have those type of leaders around the team.
Mhm. You just answered your own question. In a nutshell, she can never leave.
Yeah,
And she is there's a lot of plays that you can say personify what Arsenal women are about. And you can go back to, on our show earlier this season, we had the absolute pleasure of talking to Vic Akers,
mhm.
who is the legend of all legends when it comes to Arsenal women. And you think about some of the players that played in his team, the quadruple team. By the way, Football Universe, yes, there's a team that's done the quadruple, and it's the Arsenal women who have done it.
We're
So
the
it wouldn't
best.
it wouldn't be the first if Manchester City did it next season. Okay, sidebar there. Uh, she's just a fundamentally important member of not it's just not the team, it's Arsenal.
Yeah,
That's it goes bigger than just on the pitch. And she is just an incredible athlete, an incredibly strong-minded, mental monster of a footballer. And I love the fact that she is part of this club, and I hope that she never ever leaves. You know.
Yeah, because I know, I think it might have been in the January window. Like, I think Chelsea did put a bid in for her, and
Those
I
buggers sniffing around all the
oh, do you know
time.
what? That really annoyed me. That did, and do you know what? I was worried because I know she supported Chelsea when she grew up, and
Hmm.
she plays for Arsenal. She plays for the badge. And I can tell she loves Arsenal, but there was a part of me that feels like if she ever did go to Chelsea, would that sort of ruin the reputation she had at Arsenal? Like
Mm.
with like Alessia Russo, I suppose for United fans, it's hard to see the good times they had because they've gone on to the rivals. So for me, like I don't see her leaving soon because I kind of think she seems happy and but I think we're moving forward as a club. Like, we could get to the finals of the Champions League. I believe, like next season, we could win a lot. So I just don't know. I think for me, if she ever did leave to a rival club, it'd be hard to take. But I just think she's done so much for us, hasn't she? So I'm always grateful for what she's done.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, clubs might be done with players sometimes, but players
Mm.
aren't done with playing the game. And they want to, when you think about our careers, we can go on until we're 60, 65. A
Yeah,
player's career is really, it's finite time. And you have to capitalize on that. And I think that someone like Katie McCabe, if she chooses to go, Arsenal fans would know that she would be going for all of the right reasons and just to play football. And
yeah,
the offer in January, if I remember correctly, was substantial. And uh, you know, I, I just can't. I wouldn't put it this way, if she left and she went on to pastures new, she'd go with, my blessing. I would not be
mm,
mad or angry at her. And I don't think it would tarnish her legacy. Is
yeah,
it tarnished Messi's legacy to leave Barcelona?
mm,
No, they desperately want him,
yeah,
to go back. It, great women have played for different teams, whether it's Barcelona or Lyon or Arsenal or Chelsea. If Sam Kerr decides to go play in America one day, I think Chelsea fans would revere her for
mm,
all that she's done. So,
yeah.
yeah, I think fans can be fickle like that, and we've seen it, of course. It's not. Put it this way, it wouldn't be a Robin van Persie situation, would it?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like, I kind of feel like, I'm really grateful for what she's done. Like, even through our like difficult times we face, she's been in FA Cup finals with us where it's been hard when we've lost, and she's always stood by us. So I'm like you. I think from Chelsea, I think that was just a cheeky bid. I think like you said.
They're testing us, right?
Yeah,
They're
they were
testing
testing the
that.
water to see if we would take it, and Jonas was like, "I'm having none of that. She's
Right.
not
Well,
going
just like
anywhere."
we tested Man United for Russo in the last transfer window, right?
Mm,
We're gonna test them. Look, she has to stay because I can't deal with Demian. Demian would have he'd go from a meltdown to breakdown in like 2 seconds. So we can't have that. So yeah,
yeah,
she has to
like
stay.
I'm with you. I think she's at a place now where she's happy playing the football and
Mhm.
talking on Alessia Russo. We all sort of know that she's left United now. She's put out. I thought the video. I did watch it. I thought it was quite nice and. It's actually surprised me that she's actually left United, because I know that's her childhood club. But I'm not gonna lie, Sophie, I'm enjoying every
This
moment
is
of
so
this.
epic.
I'm
Come
actually,
on, don't sugarcoat it, Soph. This is huge. This is,
you know
I
what
mean,
it is?
this is huge.
This
I
is
didn't
gonna
want to
sound
believe it.
crazy, but Alessia Russo coming to us is like us signing someone like Mbappe or Messi. It's just massive.
Oh yeah.
Like she for the Euros, I thought she was outstanding. And for United, she's been a great player for her. Talk to me how you're feeling, Soph, about it.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is a statement from the Arsenal. We want the league back. We want to get to the Champions League final. We want to get all of our superstars healthy. We don't know how they're going to come back, Soph. The club, there's loyalty and then there's no loyalty in sports, right? We're hoping that our players who have suffered terribly from these ACL injuries are going to come back and be the same. But you also have to be thinking about the future. She is a
Mm,
generational player. This players like Russo don't come around often, and the fact that she would leave Manchester United when they're building, right? Look what they've done this season. You could say, you know what? If they can keep as much of that team together and then build on that. But they have to, in order for them to go forward, this is the sad thing about the women's game too. But we see it in the men's game as well. They have to let her go in order for them to grow as a team. Because Manchester
Yeah.
United are kind of at their infancy. So compared to Arsenal, compared to Chelsea, compared to Manchester City. So, in order for them and in order for them to move forward as a club, this is a move that they probably have to make. And for us to be the club that she wants to go to is massive. She's a super talented player. Her goal ratio is increased season on season. As you said, she lit up the Euros. She's versatile. She's strong. She's fearless, and she is a football junkie. And this is massive. This is absolute headline news in the women's game.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Like, I can't get my head around it. I think in January, when we did put that bid in, I think it's understandable they wanted to keep her because they could have won the league. That could have changed things for her. But I think it's quite interesting now because she will leave in the summer, she'll go for free. But if she went in January, they would have had to pay for her. So
But also,
it's
Soph, maybe they thought, maybe that's the agreement, right? No, stay. Let's try and win this league and we'll
yeah.
let you go in the summer. Those things do happen, right? So that could have been the conversation that occurred between her
Yeah,
and
I
the club.
think so because I know she's a really important player to have, and she was an important player. And I've spoken to a few United fans on Twitter, and a few of them have actually said since Arsenal did put that bid in, I don't think she has been as good because her head sort of. I think she does want a change. I think she wants to come to
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal. I think we know Chelsea have been more successful, in the last few years, but I think for us, we're just a club that are quite ahead of other clubs. United,
Yeah,
I think they're quite behind us. We know they could have won the league, and that showed how far they've come. But I
right.
just think for us, because we've done so well, the Champions League, I just think we've come so far, and I
Mm-hmm.
just think this would be the right move for her. But it's just quite surprising that she's actually left because when I saw things, I just sort of took it as a pinch of salt. I didn't really look too much in it because I really, really want her at Arsenal. But now that it's happening, I'm so happy.
Oh yeah. Look, I'm one of those folks in the transfer window too that these days until I see them signing a piece of paper or
Yeah.
holding the shirt up, I don't want to believe it. Can I get a tissue? Sorry. Thanks. Sorry, I've
No,
got
no,
a bit
no.
of a cold and um so yeah, I think this is a signature signing. It's a signing of intent. And also you're right in the sense that even though she could have won at Manchester United this season, you look at the pedigree of Chelsea and Arsenal. This is a player that is desperate to win at club
Yeah.
level. And after you taste victory in the Euros, she could win a World Cup.
Mhm.
This summer too. So yes, and thank you, Tony. Yeah, so I think this is amazing, and Arsenal fans be excited.
Yeah, I'm very happy with this. I think she's at a time in her career where she wants to win things. She won the Euros, and I think she deserves to win things. I think as a player, United have just got in the Champions League for next season, and they might struggle with that. We will never know how they'll do, but I just think she's someone who deserves to win more than what she's having. And it was unfortunate that they didn't win, obviously,
Hmm.
but I think this is the right step for her. And I'm just when I see that news, Sophie, I'm gonna
I
be
know. It's
screaming through my
amazing, isn't
phone.
it? It's amazing. I just wanted to say Matt Roberts made a comment saying 18 months. Then that when you need to get, I mean, January it all came out, but
Mm,
when you are going after a player of that ilk, these things take time, which is why I'm saying to folks, calm the chaos in the summer transfer window because, you know, everyone expects the day the window opens to sign
mm,
Declan Rice or to sign Russo or to sign whoever. And it just doesn't work
yeah,
that way. And when you are in a competitive landscape, teams are going to be going after these players on both sides. And, we've honed in on the target. This is what I like about what we've done here. We've identified her as the player that we want. She's a player for the future. She will be at Arsenal for years. And we've gone and done the business and made that happen. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I think she'll be a big part of our future. I think we sort of needed that squad depth as well. I think we do have more of a squad depth. Like you said, we brought Pullover in, and Gio's here as well. We've got other players, but I just think she would make that instant impact as well when we need goal scorers.
Yeah.
For you, we know Raphael will be leaving us. But who else? Like, which? Where do you think we need to replace? Like, which positions do you think we need to improve on?
Um, I mean, I always think we can improve our defense,
Mm,
and a little losing Williamson was huge, but I'm
yeah,
not. So our starting 11 is amazing, right? You start the season and you've got all these fantastically talented players. And what I like about our players, there's some hybrid players. There's a lot of flexibility with how Jonas wants to play and how he deploys certain players in certain positions, how we can mix things up in Europe as well versus when we play, a Tottenham. And so I think that we've been fortunate to have, I think, one of the most talented squads
mm,
in the WSL. With that said, you're always looking to improve, and the goal here is how do you beat Chelsea? Which
yeah,
areas do we need to strengthen to beat Chelsea? When you add Russo into this team and her goals, so if that changes a lot of things immediately. One player changes things immediately. We've seen that happen. For example, Van Dijk and Allison were the last two players for Liverpool, and they went on to win the Champions League and they went on to win the Premier League. You could say our men's team are what, three players shy of maybe getting to that point. But how do you beat City? How do you beat Chelsea? And I say every position you strengthen one player at the back, one in the middle, one attacking player. If you
yeah,
can do that in every transfer window, right? And of course, are you looking on the flanks? Do we have enough? Is there enough? Is there enough talent on the flanks? Is there enough talent down the middle? If Williamson gets injured, if someone gets injured, who's going to come in for those core key positions?
mhm,
And for me, when you're in the transfer window and you're looking to strengthen, you can bring players in who can do a job. But if you lose your key players, who are you looking to come in? And I think that's where Arsenal need to focus on, because I think it was a massive lesson when you lose that spine over a season. Those players are
yeah,
kind of irreplaceable. So, you know, I would like you lose Souza. You got how are you replacing her? How are you
yeah.
replacing her?
It's hard. I've been thinking because like I think for Souza, I think we can bring in. I think she's sort of irreplaceable in a way because she's just such a great defender and it's really hard letting her go. But I think due to personal reasons, I think everyone can understand that because
Totally. Well, let,
things.
let me spin it this way to you. What about the players we've re-signed?
Mm,
They feel like sometimes when there's certain players you're like just sign, just re-sign, right? We see it on again both sides. But maybe the players we've re-signed, I think, are as fundamental to then planning who else is coming in. And I think
yeah,
that's why it was important to get these deals done so then we can, attack and identify, okay, where are the gaps, who's staying, who's leaving. But the re-signing of a couple of our players over the last, month or so, I think have been really important as well.
yeah, for me, I think with Leah Volti, when she signed, I just thought that I think because right now, she's thinking about her last few years maybe, or she's still quite young, but I think right now I was thinking, would she want to keep staying at Arsenal? Would she want to try something new? And I was really, really like happy that she wanted to stay, and
Yeah, it's very cool.
Kim Little as well, she's
Steph.
yeah, Caitlin Ford as well. It's really nice knowing that they're happy and we're going in the right direction. As a club because I wasn't sure if some of them would move on. I think some of them just love being at Arsenal. Um,
Hmm.
But I'm really happy about Steph Catley as well because
Yeah.
I think she's just a great player. I love watching her, and um, I
Baller.
think
She's a total baller.
yeah, isn't she amazing? I
Yeah,
love.
she is.
It's hard really because when they've been injured, we really missed them a lot.
Yeah,
I did
definitely.
also want to get your thoughts on someone that came in for a little bit. Jodie Taylor. A lot of people weren't really like convinced by it. I think she did. I
Why do
think
you
she.
think they weren't convinced by it, Soph?
Well, I think for a start, she not to sound bad or anything, but I think maybe because of her age and because
I was
of
just saying how old I was just gonna look. I was just looking. How old is she?
is she
Let me
the
just
first
check. Yeah, 37. I mean,
in
still, Ronaldo's still
football
playing.
terms, that's probably classed as old, but
But why can
um,
Ronaldo still play? And Messi and all these guys, why can't she play at 37? I mean, okay, go on, carry on. I want to hear.
yeah. But I think for me personally, I think she did. I think she might have assisted one of the goals, but I think personally she did okay. I didn't know what to expect of her, to be honest with you, because when she first came to Arsenal, I didn't really, I don't think I was supporting Arsenal then. Like I wasn't really there, so I didn't know what to expect. But I think she did okay, but it was just sort of interesting to see. I didn't know what she would do, but for you, what did you make of what she brought in? And when you heard that news, how did you feel?
Um, I don't know. Is indifferent unfair? Is that
No, not
right?
really.
Okay, so indifferent. That's how I felt. I mean, I don't really. I think that sometimes transfers happen for reasons and you need to fill holes, right?
Yeah,
And I think that it was a surprise to people, but I also think some people are real ageists, you
yeah,
know? I mean, if she can, let's see what Matt says. Jodie was a signing that needs to happen with another striker, gave a different way to play. The only thing missing was a goal. There you go. Perfectly summed up.
yeah. I agree.
But
She did.
I
Yeah,
don't like all the ageism stuff. I really don't. I just think it's unfair, and maybe I don't know if the women get treated a little bit differently on that. But if you're 37, you can play, and you're a football player. Just like I said earlier, if you're given an opportunity to keep playing, you're going to keep playing. And if Arsenal are going to give you that opportunity, you're going to take that. How fans digest it, that's down to them. Personally, I'm being honest, I was indifferent. But at the same time, like Matt said, I think he summed it up perfectly. The only thing missing was a goal.
yeah, and I think, like you said, I'm like this personally. Like, say for Ramsdale, Ben White, when they came, people, probably didn't agree with it. And I think sometimes you just have to see what happens and then have your opinion on it because you could be wrong with how you felt. But I agree with Matt. Like you said, she did quite good. And I suppose that if we're winning, we need someone to come in with fresh legs that can get the game out because a lot of our players will be tired. So sometimes you just need to bring in them players that will help us. And yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on that.
Yeah. And remember as well, you just when we signed Jorginho on the men's side, for example, everyone just throws their toys out the pram and goes mental. But a manager thinks, how can I get through the rest of the season with these games? And how can he also contribute um, next season, whether he stays or not? And I'm just giving him as an
Mm,
example. This is why, like, for example, Katie McCabe, like the experience in the dressing room,
mm,
on the pitch, the things that she's been through and seen in the game. You
yeah,
need that, right? And I think sometimes we're always ready to dismiss players um, when they've reached a certain point in their career because they can't offer something on the pitch. That's all fine, and you're going to pay somebody just to be a rah-rah merchant in the dressing room, are you? But they just want to play football. And Jodie was given an opportunity by Arsenal to play football, and she took it. And how we fans accept that is, that's on us.
yeah. I'm with you on that. Really, I think she did help us a bit, and I suppose she was just brought in because we didn't really bring anyone in. I think with Beth Mead and stuff, it's been hard. None of us would have expected us to lose so many forwards going forward. But I think we did well, and also like talking on Stina, I think she's really impressed me. I
Yeah.
think she had I think she had sort of moments where she was really low in confidence and she struggled to score, and then
Well
I don't
said.
know kind of what it was that changed, but maybe as a footballer you just sort of go back in confidence and things change. But for you, do you think that when she got the confidence back, do you think that sort of helped her score the goals again?
I think that I'm not saying this from an ego point of view in regards to her as a player. I think that when you are given the responsibility and you know you're the person that the team is relying on, because now there's injuries, now we're relying on you. And I think players take that on and they like that responsibility. And I think that she handled that quite well. Um, and, sometimes it takes, you know, other things to happen within a team to elevate yourself. And I think that's what's happened. I think that she started feeling super comfortable and she feels a huge part of the team now. And yeah, I mean, it has been dicey at times and she's missed
Yeah.
some crazy chances, but I think that she's a reliable player who continues to deliver for us and has done so when we've lost some key players in the side.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think, she's been that main person that, will start most games. And I think, her, getting her confidence back has been so important because we have needed the players to step up, and
Mm,
it's obviously really hard when you miss out on really important players. But yeah, I agree with you. I think she's very reliable. I think she's quite comfortable with sort of the players around the team, and
yeah,
I think she stepped up, in the Continental Cup. She scored that great goal, equalised, and got us back in the game again. And that definitely helped us. And obviously,
that was
it's like,
huge.
yeah, and with like Alessia Russo coming in, it's likely, she will come. Do you think that might affect Stina? Because I don't know if Alessia Russo will start. I don't think she'll start all the time, but
Oh, she will start all the time.
yeah, it's hard because do you think that would affect Stina maybe if she's
Yes.
not playing all the time?
And also you got Miedemar, you got Stina, you've got Russo,
Bethany,
you
yeah,
got
it's
Mead. Mead a little bit more flexible, right, in terms of how
yeah,
Beth can play and stuff. So something's got to give at some point. But yeah, I, th- I mean, it's going to be hard to keep everyone happy and keep everyone. But when a player like Russo comes in, that just takes precedence over everything. And you know, Miedemar flirted with leaving a little bit too, didn't she? I mean, I know
yeah,
that the onus is always on, and also after the injury, we don't know how she's going to approach her the rest of her time. Is she still going to have that desire to play somewhere else?
mm.
Is she going to come back the same person, the same player? Um, so there's a lot of different components and factors that could play into what's going to happen up front. But I love how you keep saying if as well, even though like a
I'm
couple of
trying not
key.
to get my hopes up.
If she comes in, let's have another conversation because right now my
Yeah,
head's all over the place because
it's
I'm like,
it's hard. It's hard because like I get excited easily about these things, and like I think it is really likely she will come, but I suppose there's always I don't know what else she would go because I think other clubs have wanted Alessia Russo, but I just think since we put that bid in January, I think she's been interested, but
oh
obviously
yeah, yeah. This is a slam dunk. I say that and then I'm gonna have egg on my face because
if she doesn't
football
come
makes
to
a
Arsenal, I will cry.
yeah,
I'm like,
football makes a fool of me a lot, so I just keep my mouth shut. Don't ask me any transfer questions. Don't ask me any.
yeah, I'm like that. It's hard because when you think about like say with Declan Rice, because obviously I really want him to come, and then if he doesn't come, it's like it feels like a slap in the face, really, because you're looking forward to it, aren't you?
So if Declan Rice, if you thought the fallout from Mikhailo Mudryk was bad, I think there might be a mega implosion. You may want to get on a spaceship to Pluto if Arsenal don't sign Declan Rice. That's all I can
And
say.
it'll be even worse if he goes to like Man City as well. I'll just
if
leave.
if or when.
I know
I'm just
it's
joking, but
yeah, that's like me with transfer. I sort of take things as like a pinch of salt until it's really been confirmed because if I get overexcited and it doesn't happen, then it's just awful. So if it's hard, and I feel
look, we know he wants to come to Arsenal, but so did Mudryk. And a player agreeing personal terms means absolutely bugger all in transfer business. And so West Ham have their most valuable asset that they've had in years.
mm,
And maybe they won't have a player like that for another 10 years. And they are going to milk it for every dollar and cent that they can. And rightly so. They should. That's what we would do if Saka was leaving or if Martinelli or any of those
mm,
players. We would try. The new Arsenal, I hope, would maximize to get the best deal. So it's going to be very gut punching, disappointing. And I would say on gargantuan levels, much worse than
mm.
Madrid.
Yeah, because I suppose with Trossard, he's probably been better with us. I mean, it's hard to say if Mudryk came to us, what would have been like, but Trossard has
Yeah,
been
but
that
Soph, I
guy.
still think long term Mudryk has a very bright future.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
His confidence was absolutely shot, and unfortunately, in the end, was he really the one that made the decision to go to
mm.
Chelsea? Was money's always a key factor? And yeah, I just said and we're not going to talk transfers. Evgeny's laughing because he's like, okay, let's talk transfers. Um, I like talking about players, but I'm not going to say transfer wise, yeah, he's going there or we're getting him because they just look stupid when you do that, don't
Yeah,
they,
I think
really?
I think if I talk about transfers, I don't. It's hard, really. I think I take it sort of as a pinch of salt. Like I'd like it to happen, but would it happen is another thing. Because for Arsenal, when I want something to happen, a lot of the time it doesn't actually happen.
No.
So,
But this is what happened with. Do you remember? It's Tielemans or nothing. It's Basuma or nothing. It's Vlahovic or nothing. It's Mudryk or nothing. And now it's Rice or nothing. Caicedo or nothing.
and
There are other players on the planet, We didn't get Mudryk, we got Trossard. It helped us out,
yeah,
right? Long term, Mudryk will probably be a star. We didn't get Vlahovic, we got Jesus. Yeah, we didn't get our left back target, we got Zinchenko. I mean, um, and we got them for $30+ million pounds. This is stupid money. When you look at what people are asking, 120 million for Declan Rice. Are you joking? What planet are we? Football's gone mad, absolutely mad. If he was a player, I said this on Harry's show with Tom yesterday. If he was a player from, I don't know, Portugal, he would be what, 40 million, 50 million? But
yeah,
because he's an English player and look, Bellingham was 80 to Real Madrid with add-ons. But they say these are add-ons that Real Madrid could actually achieve, which is why West Ham want more money from Arsenal up front versus on the add-ons for Declan Rice. But it's
yeah.
ridiculous money. It's craziness. I
A
mean,
lot,
really,
isn't it?
okay, Rice, I get. Caicedo, the 100 million or whatever. Okay, Rice has captained his country through Europe and lifted a trophy now. I get that. That's cool, all right? But what, Caicedo's had a couple of great seasons in the Premier League. 100 million? This is nuts.
Yeah, it is so much, isn't it? So if it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And actually, I agree with Evgeny. I like the backup, Lavia. I
Hmm.
like our backup plan. And the fact that we have one is kind of impressive.
Hmm.
So, look, batten down the hatches because it's only June and this bugger doesn't shut until September.
And then we'll have to be stressed till then.
There you
I
go.
wanted to answer Matt's question. Is there any place that you'd like to see in the WSL that have impressed you? Um,
Um,
yeah, I don't know actually. That's a hard question.
you know who I really like who's playing for I like Sophia Smith, super talented player. You know, the buzz around the WSL, I
Mm,
feel over the last, especially last season and this season, is much more, I don't know. I think the game in Europe is at domestic level feels more exciting than the game in the US at domestic level.
mm,
Whereas the US women's national team has super excelled and changed the landscape and allowed all these federations to, you know, raise more
mm,
funds, get more money in, build their squads. You know, we're seeing a little bit more evenness when it comes to international matches as well. With like, you know, the bigger nations who have been around in this space for a lot longer on a
mm.
competitive level. But I feel like the game in Europe, and I don't know if Matt agrees with me. I'd love to know what he thinks. But I think the game in Europe has become really super exciting. And if I was a player, I think I'd want to play in Europe right now, not in the
Yeah.
league here in the US. Um, but there's a player, Alyssa Thompson as well, very talented player at Angel City, who is going to be an absolute superstar in years to come. So yeah, someone like
Yeah,
that would,
it's
I
a hard
think, would
question.
make it exciting.
I think more players are coming to us, the WSL. I mean, and there are a few players leave that are really talented, but I think the WSL, I just think it's got more bigger now. As I think with the coverage with like Sky Sports and with them playing at the football stadiums like the Emirates Stadium, Old Trafford, I think having that exposure has really helped women's football.
Hmm.
And I do think the Euros really, really changed things for women's football. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people just enjoyed what they were seeing, and it's been really refreshing to see the change of that. Like, a lot of people watched that Euros final, probably over 1 million or something like that. So it shows you that people really are interested and invested in, women's football. And
Money changes it, Soph. The
yeah,
investment of Barclays, the investment of the networks to televise the games. I mean, it's a little bit of a shame that the World
mm,
Cup TV rights weren't buttoned up, 6 weeks before the actual
yeah,
tournament. That would never happen in the men's game. But at least they got there in the end. So, yeah, the investment, the Premier League in 1992 became the Premier League and and the and the most successful league in the world. Why? Because of money. Sky TV deal and the investment at the time. I think it was Barclays when it was the
mm,
first. Um, and it just went on from there. The old Division One, it was still great football. It was still amazing football, Soph. But
yeah,
when the Premier League came on, the money came in, and then the sexy players from around the world came in, and the rest is history. And the women's
mm,
game needs the Nike swish became the swish because of marketing. Marketing is so important, and the more they continue to market the women's game, the bigger it'll get.
yeah. I completely agree. I definitely think it's about investment, and I think think we sort of have a long way to go. But I think right now I'm seeing improvements. I'm very happy. I thought I'd ask you some questions about Arsenal. I just want to get your thoughts on like, um, it can be like any of the players that have been injured. It can be players that played last season. But for the women's team, which player do you think is the most underrated that probably doesn't get the credit they deserve?
Ooh, good question. That's a really good question because I think they're all. Do you know our goalkeeper?
Mm,
I think that having a really good goalkeeper in a team is very underrated. And I don't think goalkeepers get enough love, which is why we've started the goalkeeper show on the Highbury squad
yeah.
to talk about our men's and women's team. We're doing a lot more on the women's side on the goalkeeping too, because I always
Mm,
find that an interesting and fascinating subject. Just I never forget the beginning. So when the women's game was growing and people were like,
yeah.
maybe they should make the goal smaller.
I know I'm not that Welsh.
Yeah. But I think our goalkeeper, doesn't get enough sugar.
Mm.
And I think it's fundamentally important to have a good keeper who's versatile and um, just vocal. And I think that in a time where you have lost so much experience, having someone as stable as Zinsberger, between the sticks has been massive for our club. So
Mm.
I would say, are you surprised by my choice?
No, a little bit. It's hard because I think a lot of people don't go for the goalkeepers, do they?
Hmm.
Really? So I'm really kind of happy you chose that. I think it's hard really to pick because there's been important players around the team that probably don't get that credit. I think for me, one player that I feel really really impressed with is Jen Beattie. I think
Baller.
yeah, and I think her experience has really helped us. Like, say in the Champions League when you scored that goal, just having her in the team is so important. And she probably when Leah's back, she's probably not the starter, but she's an important player around the team, and she really helps us. And I think I'll go for her.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's rare to see goalkeepers compete with each other. I think Sabrina actually talking
Yeah,
of her.
she's
I
she's
like her.
she's coming to. She's a disruptor. That one.
Yeah. Yeah, because when she played against Man City, I thought she had a
So
great
good.
game. Yeah, I love.
Yeah, she did. She did. Yeah. Matt knows his Arsenal women.
Yeah,
I'm
he knows. He
impressed.
knows the team.
I
Yeah,
am super impressed. Oh, yeah, she has. She's got a mistake in her, that one, hasn't she?
I think we've got her moving more. I think she's definitely developed. I know.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was against Wolfsburg that she did a great ball forward. She just did a
Yeah.
great, like a Leah Williamson type of pass.
Sweeping.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think she's great. I think she's developed a lot. It's just sometimes the odd mistake. But I suppose with her, she's had to play a lot of football and she's probably a bit worn out.
Yeah. She
But
needs her holiday.
yeah, she deserves a break, doesn't she? So, um, we sort of spoke about it before about players that have stepped up. But for you in the team, who would you say is like the most improved player?
Most improved player. I'm going to go with one of the new signings because I think some folks gave her a bit of a hard time, but
Hmm,
as the season, I love that. Matt goes to as many games as
I
possible.
love
That's
that.
amazing. Palova, I think, improved. Don't you? Do you? I'd love to know.
Yeah,
Matt should be the co-host here. Um, do
I
you
agree with
think?
you,
Do,
Soph,
yeah,
actually.
go on. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you think because to me, I think that she came in. When she got her chance, she didn't set the house on fire, right? But at the same time, it takes time for players to settle in. But I think as the games progressed, I think she evolved into, and especially in the Champions League, um, right? I thought that she did really well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think, like you said, when she came, she didn't really, start off great. I think, well, she did okay actually, but I feel like as games have gone on, I think she's gotten confidence,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes as players, you probably need, like, you need to play for a few games to get into the rhythm of things. Like, if you play one day, you don't play the next day. It's really hard to get into like the rhythm of things.
Yes.
So I think she's improved massively. I just think she's a really talented player. And yeah, I think I'd go her. I think obviously, like
This
someone
is
said,
true. Demian has been absolutely poo-pooing Palova in such a massive way, and I won't have it. I absolutely will not have it. I liked what I saw towards the end of the season.
yeah. I did want to ask you though about Gio because she was on loan with Everton. She's come in. I don't. Do you think she will have like a good future at Arsenal? Like, what do you make of her? Because she's had a few. She doesn't always start a lot. She probably starts towards in the 80th minute sometimes. Gio brings her on. What do you make of her so far from what you've seen?
I mean, I'm not sure. I
Mm,
just, sometimes when players go out and they come back, I think it's so important that that happens. But
mm,
I'm not sure. Is Jonas a believer?
yeah.
Do you think Jonas is a believer? I don't
Um,
know. I don't know. I mean, I think it's all good experience and I think it helps. But not, I don't know if he's sold. I don't know where I'm getting that from even, but it's just my Greek
Yeah,
gut.
feeling, yeah. It's hard because, like, I'm kind of in the middle with that, like, with you on that, because I think she seems like a great person to have around the team. She seems very positive and she has great energy about her. But I
Mhm.
suppose you're probably not seeing enough because she has played in other, when we say we have FA Cup games against like the Leeds,
Right.
she can play in them games that can sort of help us. But if we're playing against Chelsea and she's playing, I wouldn't want to put that pressure on her because it's such a big game. So I think she probably needs more minutes for kind of us to make for me
Totally.
to. So it's hard to kind of judge someone that doesn't play a full game all the
Yeah.
time if they just play every so often. So I think for her, I'd probably keep her on for it and just see how it goes. But I don't know really how Jonas views her because I think her loan got cut short, so she came back. So, Jonas felt like we needed her back, for squad depth, and we've had so many injuries. So it's a hard one, but I'm with you. It's I don't know really what he thinks of her. It's hard to tell really.
Yeah. No, I hear you too. We'll reserve judgment on that one for a little bit. How about that? We'll stick a pin in it and we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, guys. It's time for no, I'm not replacing Kevin Cole. Kevin's the best, that so I love
Look
Kevin.
who's shown up. I'm glad that you're here to support little Soph Newman. Well done. If I had a green card, I'd give it to you. See, you're always getting yellows and reds, you see.
Yeah, you've not got a red card or a yellow card just yet.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
But yeah, guys, I'll read this comment and then we'll kind of wrap the show up. Gio needs some TLC a bit on and off with injuries. Hopefully, we can see her do well next season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good point on the injury part of it too. That's
yeah.
fair. Fair
I think
comment.
I think next season will be probably big for her. So I think, like we've just said, giving her more minutes, seeing if she can deal with that, and obviously we'll be in the Champions League. I know she didn't get picked to be part of that squad, which would probably be hard for her to take, but
Yeah.
it was a tough decision, wasn't it? Really.
Jonas is going to have a lot of tough decisions to make. And this is part of growth and, being a good club. And sometimes you got to say goodbye to players you like.
Yeah, it's
And
tough.
that is the position you want a club to be in. A good manager at corporate level builds a squad, builds a team. So when
Yeah,
they go off, someone can take over that position. And I
yeah.
think Jonas is starting to gain the trust. I think a lot of fans now trust him and trust his decisions based on the season that he's had. And I
Mm.
think winning a trophy, just like Mikel Arteta, buys you a lot of love coupons. And the Conti Cup love coupons will last for a little bit for him, I think.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we're definitely going in the right direction as a club. And it's been so lovely talking to you today, Soph. I've
You
really enjoyed
too.
the show. It's gone so quick. I could talk to you for ages.
I know. I looked and I was like, "Oh my god, we've been talking for an
I know.
hour." And
It
I
goes
was,
so fast, doesn't it? Before you
yeah,
go, do you just want to tell people maybe where they can follow you or find you on social media?
yeah. You can find me at Highbury Squad and at Soccer Diva on Twitter and at Soccer Diva 71 on Instagram. But if you're going to follow anything, just please follow at Highbury Squad and give the show a
Subscribe,
chance.
amazing channel. I love your
Yeah,
channel. So
we did a show yesterday. I do a show, Kevin's son on, and yesterday Kevin popped into the show unexpectedly
oh my god.
about after 45 we're only going to do like a 45-minute show. Kev popped in to say hello at 45 minutes, so we went on for another 45 minutes.
Oh god.
But if you missed it, you should check that out because seeing the dynamic of him and his son was just really fascinating and fun. And yeah, we'll be
Oh,
back
I
on
watched
Monday.
him. He's nice, isn't he? He's just like Kevin.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious. I don't think anyone would get away with putting a Man City scarf on their head on my show, but somehow, well, I
He
did
gets away
card
with
him
it.
and I did boot him out the studio. It's kind of fun. Go check it out. I think you kids will enjoy it.
Yeah, hope you guys can all subscribe to Soph's channel because I love it. You do amazing stuff. And oh, you're doing so well. Hopefully you'll get there soon. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe, and I shall see you all on my next video. Bye, guys.